Truck Talk Media.
C10 Talk, episode 266. We've got Big Ben from Engineered Vintage. You want some jewelry for your truck? You're an E-grill guy. What can you break down the difference? Why do you use an E? Is the barbecue grill no E, and then the truck grill is an E?
That's exactly it. Yeah. So a grill without the E is your barbecue grill, or it's like your vent for your AC, right?
What about my teeth? How do I do that one? How do I?
I'm not sure on that one, Roddy. I don't know.
All right.
I don't know.
I think it would probably be an E because it's matching the truck grill.
There you go.
Assume. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. So no, grill with an E, and then yeah.
Damn, son. Seeing is believing. And our title sponsor, United Pacific, makes seeing a whole lot easier. The crispness of the United Pacific LED headlights, taillights, marker lights, and more makes seeing and showing your truck that much better. It's time to upgrade your old dim halogens for new LED headlights, taillights, and more. They offer the brightest and latest LED technology. Headlights are available up to 1600 lumens, easy to install, and it fits right in the OEM housing. How about upgrading to sequential taillights? They're DOT approved and ready to ship today. And for you 73 to 80 GMC and Chevy square body guys, they've got the new front parking lights, LED with stainless steel bezel. Think UP Car Parts. That's upcarparts.com.
Let me tell you what Melbourne Post is packing right here. I've got 411 posi track out back, 750 double pumper, Edelbrock intakes, scored over 30, 11-to-1 pop-up pistons, turbojet, 390 horsepower. We're talking some bucking muscle.
What does that do? Did that blow your mind? That just happened.
Welcome to C10 Talk, your C10 Truck podcast.
And now I have a chance to be the best, maybe the best in the world.
My old man, he's a television repairman. Got this ultimate set of tools. I can fix it.
I said I got 50 cents in that jukebox, and all I can hear is your mouth flapping. You hear that?
Here's your host, Ronnie Welch.
What up, C10 Nation? Coming at you, 266, Big Ben. Headed to the slowdown this week. I thought, hey, give you guys something to listen to on your way, up, down, all around. They said they had 1,000 trucks, so that'll be fun. We're headed out. We're going to leave out Friday morning, roll up, and then cruise up PCH on Saturday AM early. Get to the show, hang out. I think bump back down to where we're staying Saturday night. So should be a good weekend coming up. Hopefully the weather, obviously the weather for us in Arizona has been just bonkers. I mean, batshit crazy. So episode 265 was Doja Mat. So if you've seen me post it and have a great time with those retro mats, jump back to that and you'll find out kind of what my role is and all the things that we have going on with Doja Mat. Retro mats done right. 264 was Martin So Cold out of the Houston area, and that was a fun one because it got some people riled up. So I hope that you saw some of the social media stuff, whether you agree or disagree, but I think he was spot on, and I think some things get taken out of context, and people see social media posts, but they don't listen to the whole pod. So I think he's spot on. I think he's right. I think what we said together was right. Of course, I think that, but let me know what you guys think. All right. Ben has become a friend. He does amazing stuff, something different, something out of the box, and that is what is so cool about our community, whether it's just Chevrolet, whether it's GMC, whether it's retro trucks, but everybody's pushing the envelope. Everybody's having a good time and building some really awesome stuff. So the parts that he has, the things that he offers is really cool. And anytime I can help, especially a small time guy who's literally a man in the garage doing what he's doing, making parts for us, making parts so that we can make our trucks, our classics better, of course I'm going to do that. So Ben, I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing. I'm glad that you've teamed up with so many people. I'm glad that you're showing the ingenuity, the talent, the skills. and the vision to make things happen. So we do appreciate you taking time to sit down with us. Ben also is going to be at the Slowdown. He does go through some of the things that he's got planned and some of the different shows. I think one of Ben's biggest things is when people are actually able to touch it, smell it, feel it, and know the product, especially when it comes to the grill with the E, and knowing that that is such a high quality piece. So I hope you enjoy episode 266 with Big Ben. Hope you have safe travels wherever you're going. If you're going to a truck show, obviously, again, I'll be at the Slowdown this weekend. And my goal is to get some pod while I'm there and then flip it around and turn around and get episode 267 interviews from the Slowdown for you guys. Probably not next week, but maybe the week after that. We'll see. We'll see what time we get back. And show pod, it is a little bit more work because I got to go through multiple different interviews. Let's jump into it. So again, I hope you have the time to check out not only episode 264, 65, and this episode. I appreciate you tuning in. Check out Ben's stuff, engineered_vintage. It's that easy. Let me know what you think. Ronnie at Truck Talk Media, RONNIE at trucktalkmedia.com. Have a great week, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate the support. Late. What up, C10 Nation coming at you. Big Ben from Engineered Vintage. Been a long time coming. This is a long time listener, first time caller. We get to hang out with Ben. First time I got to meet Ben was in my face. He came out to the reunion all the way from Oregon, which worked out really cool because you get to kind of, it's one thing to hear about it. It's one thing to see it on social, but it's a whole nother thing when you're sitting there looking at what Big Ben's got available. He comes out to the reunion, C-Town, our first show, and we love what you're doing. So Ben, tell us a little bit about Ben, and then we're going to get into all of what Engineered Vintage is as well. So thanks for taking time to be on C10 Talk, brother.
No, I'm glad we were able to connect, Ronnie. So no, for sure. So Ben Kohler, nickname is Big Ben, like you said. A lot of people call me that. I'm a big dude.
I didn't know that, by the way. I know he's a big guy. So
it's a pretty common nickname. So I grew up in on the Southern Oregon coast. My grandfather had a rock quarry growing up, so I grew around heavy equipment and a lot of Chevy trucks. Growing up, and some of those trucks would get towed behind dump trucks to job sites and beat to hell, and spent a lot of time working around that, working on different equipment and heavy equipment and all that. So really got a love for that. And then got out of high school, went to Oregon State, go Beavs, got an engineering degree, got out of Oregon State, got married to my high school sweetheart, and went to work at Warren Winch, did that for a while, and then left there and was a plant manager at a sheet metal job shop, did that for several years, and now I'm in a different industry full time, and then started this Engineered Vintage thing about 2.5 years ago, kind of during the height of COVID when we were shut down and then we're not, and then we're shut down, then we're not, and needed something to do. I started putting license plates on my shop wall, and that lasted about a week, and then got bored with that. I did a big push. I have a 72 K5 Blazer that I'm trying to restore. And I did a big push on that and realized, hey, my sheet metal skills or my welding skills are not what I wish they were. And for sheet metal. And so I started taking some of the stuff that I'd made for my Blazer, and I started with my shackle bracket tow hooks. I wanted a way to attach, to be able to pull yourself out of the mud, not realizing that there's this whole industry of guys that have these tow hooks and the extreme bends and all that have completely gone bonkers. But I had those on CK5, ColoradoK5.com, and I had a couple guys, AJ Goudry, he reached out to me and said, hey, I want a set of those. He was my very first customer. This was like 10 years ago. And I'd sell a few of those here and there. And then I reached out to this metal fab shop and said, hey, can you cut me some of those? And they said, we can cut one or two, but we can cut 10 or 20 for about the same price. We can cut one or two. I'm like, well, duh, of course you can. So I ordered 10 or 20 of them, and I put them on eBay and Colorado K5, and they were gone like instantly. And then I had guys going, hey, do you have any for 73 to 80 Chevys? And do you have them for 81 to 87 Chevys? And do you have them for dent side and bump side and all that? didn't even know what a dent side or a bump side was back then.
That's Ford for all you Chevy guys.
That's right. And so I made them for a 73 to 80 Chevy. My buddy that lives down the road in Boring, Oregon, Tim, he let me borrow his really nice 77 Chevy for way too long. I had it for about 6 months, and it worked out well for him and me. And so I made a set for 73 to 80 Chevys, and then borrowed an 85 from another friend, Jesse, and made some for his truck. And then I had a guy reach out to me and said, "Hey, have you ever thought about making behind bumper winch mounts? And this is kind of what I would like." And I said, "That's a great idea." So I shamelessly took that idea from a customer, made him a kit, and then again, same thing happened. "Hey, do you have those for 73 to 80? Do you have them for 81 to 87? So it's just kind of grown from there. And then, 15, 20 years ago, when I was working at that metal shop, my buddy and I, he had a 72 K5 also, and we made an egg crate grill design for the 72 Chevy truck, or for the Blazer. And we made one out of steel, and we made them out of stainless steel. We made one out of stainless, and I still have the stainless one. And now that I look at the stuff that I'm making, the stainless one, it looks beautiful, but it's not quite right. And but I always had that one for my 72 K5. The problem with the steel and the stainless is that weighs like 36 to 40 pounds. And so that's a lot of weight hanging out on the front of the truck when you're going down the highway. And so I switched to aluminum, and that's kind of been the sweet spot. And I started selling those, and the 71 to 72, those were like wildfire. They took off. Excuse me. And then from there, it's the same thing as the shackle bracket hooks and the winch mounts. Oh, hey, do you make them for square bodies? Do you make them for the slope nose, the 81 to 87s? Like, and then, hey, the Ford guys, hey, I need one for my 79 Bronco. And so it's just kind of taken off, and it's been a lot of fun. The 71 to 72 grill, it's 23 pieces, I think, and there's 120 TIG welds, and they're beautiful. They're works of art. And, we offer those in brushed and polished and powder coated, and now we do polished with powder coat. And some of them, they're just kind of whatever your imagination can take. And then we make them so they're compatible with the bow tie. I want to stay away from GM's trademark. Apparently they trademarked the Chevy bow tie. Who knew?
Yeah,
and
who knew?
So I stay away from that by making the grill so you can bolt on one of the nice bow ties, and we offer those now on our website too, which has been really nice, partnering with Auto Metal Direct. So
yeah, I saw that. Actually, we talked a little bit about that the other day. Well, first and foremost, I won't even bore the audience, and I don't mean that negatively, but tow hook madness, right? So my first truck was a 72 back in, oh man, I don't even know. I'd have to think this 95. And that's where you start to get, and it was 4-wheel drive. And that's where you start to realize like people are mad about tow hooks. So that's super cool. So again, for the audience, 600, 900, original bent hooks, amazing amount of money. So you fill a void, and it's amazing to think like, okay. And I think I've even talked to you about this. I'm like, oh yeah, you always look at, now my first truck had a winch on it, but it was on the outside, right? Because they would make, that's easy,
right? Double
battery, have a switch, everything. And it's funny how you when you break down a chassis of a Chevy, it's the only ones I really know. It's like GM said, "Hey, this is a perfect spot," right? There's a complete void that you're like, man. And back then, though, I would say like I did have a Warn, and they're just big, right? So I think things have gotten smaller. Yep. Engineering's gotten better, and then you just keep filling these voids for not just off-road guys, but just everybody. And it's cool to hear that evolution of. It's got to make you feel affirmation to think every time I'm doing this, like this, it's sticking, like I'm throwing shit up against the wall. I'm throwing darts and it's sticking. And it's probably, for my Canadian friends, it's probably definitely a process, but you're making it look fun, and the grills just take it to a whole nother level. You've got your two-wheel drive guys, your four-wheel drive guys, and the 71, 72 and the 73, 74, they are art. You can hang that grill with that shine, that bow tie. I don't know that it gets any better.
No, the 73 to 74 grill. So we did the 71 to 72 grill. And then I was talking to my same buddy, Tim. We were having beers one night after the day job. And he's like, man, you need to make one of those aluminum grills for my 77. And I'm like, man, there's a lot of stuff going on. And then, I was sitting there and then it was just like, boom, I epiphanied all over myself. And it's like, I figured out, okay, I know how I'm going to do it. So I got some cardboard and made this cardboard mock up of how I was going to have the 77 to 79 go together. And that one came together really nice. And then this is last year, probably February 22, probably. And then, then Brian Vowell started reaching out to me of Tray 5. And he said, hey, those grills are nice. I'm going to be building this dually. And I'd like to, talk to you about getting one of your grills on this dually. And I said, that sounds awesome. Well, I come down to Arizona quite a bit for the day job. And so I was able to connect with Brian and see his blue and white dually, which is insane if you haven't seen it. And then he said, he kind of flipped the script on me a little bit. He goes, well, I really want a 73 to 74 grill. And it's like, man, that's got a lot of stuff going on. If you look at those, there's a lot of differences between this and the 73 to 80 grills. There's something like 10 or 12 different grills in those years between the GMCs and then like the 1980 Chevy GMC trucks. Just those alone, I think there's 3 or 4, maybe even 5 grills for the 1980. And so the 73 to 74, it's a very deep grill and it's literally shaped like a funnel. And so I'm looking at it going, okay, how am I going to fabricate this? And I'm a kind of a sick individual. I love looking at press break art and like, there's all kinds of, Instagram is a really good place to go to find weld, fabrication porn, as they call it, right?
Yeah, weld porn for sure.
Weld porn. There's a really cool Instagram site I follow, Hamada Bending Service, which with an H, which is out of Japan, and they make crazy stuff. They corkscrew spirals with press brakes. And anyway, so I'm looking at the grill and like, how am I going to get that 73 to 74? And I flew home on Friday. I went back. I was up in Prescott. Sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. I met with Brian on Monday or Tuesday, and then I had to go up to Prescott. And then I called him like Thursday night. I'm like, hey, can I come back by? Because the dually was at Tray 5, over on the west side of Phoenix. I said, can I come by and look at that again? And so I did. And I'm looking at it and it started clicking, especially when I got on the airplane, which is about a 2.5 hour flight back to Portland from Phoenix. And I'm like, okay, I know I'm going to do this. Now I just got to figure out if we can do it. And so I got off the airplane and I Ubered right to the metal shop that I partner with. And sat down and, literally pulled my suitcase into their front door, and the gals, it's like 4 p.m. on a Friday in the summer, and they're like about ready to go home. And I'm pulling my suitcase and like, Ben, what the hell are you doing? I said, I need to talk to, your engineer. So I went in and I sat down with the engineer guy that I talk with, and he's an artist with metal fab. And I'm like, this is what I want to do. And he starts going, well, we could try this and we could try this. And so we made a first step and it didn't really work. And then we did a second iteration and it came out pretty good. Brian's grill, it looks amazing on that truck. We've refined it a little bit more since that first. We got a little bit of SEMA crunch going there. And but now, yeah, we have one that we just sold to a customer, Aaron, down there in Tempe or Mesa, I want to say. And his truck he's bolting the grill on this week, and I'm really excited to see it. And it's beautiful. It's a polished front edge with a light gray powder coat to look as stock as possible. And it is art.
Yeah, is that the one that you posted and we get the sheen and the shine?
Yeah,
that's a 77.
That's a 73 to 4. That's the light gray.
Oh, I didn't think that one was.
There's a black. There's another one I posted the other day. It's a black and polish, and that one's for Brian Crofts.
He's down here as well.
Yeah, no, he's building Spencer over at Arizona Rod and Custom is building a truck for him right now that is insane also, and he's got one of our grills that it's a 77 79 style grill. So.
Can you keep up right now? No,
so that's the thing. It's so I have outsourced when I started doing this. I mean, I'm not a great welder by any means. I was welding a little bit, but now it's gotten to the point where, it's starting to become a thing. And I'm really a one-man show. My family helps me out. My 17-year-old son's pretty helpful when he wants to be. No, but he's pretty good. And then my daughter came down to C10 intervention last year and helped me at a booth, and which was a lot of fun. And then my wife's coming with me. We're going to the Slowdown here this Saturday, and she's going to come down. I'm excited to show my wife because she hasn't been to one of these shows, and it's going to be neat to show her, the reactions that this stuff gets that this dumb bald guy made. So, but yeah.
Well, and the cool thing about that is, right, your family is people, when you're around other truck guys that make you feel normal, right? Maybe you're not so crazy. When you're around like quote unquote normal people, they're like, what's the big deal? Like, calm down. And you're like, well, hold on. Everybody has their vice. It just so happens that this is my vice. I have a passion for, I grew up Chevy. I've got Chevys. I build Chevys. We love them. And the funny thing is now, and I wouldn't say that, like, for example, Doja Mat is the same, because I'm not actually building them. I'm not actually making them. But our ideas and our fonts and our slogans, that's a powerful thing when you think about somebody. You walk by Brian Val's truck, bankrupt for everybody out there, SEMA truck, 7374, crew cab dually, all the bells and whistles. And you've got an engineered vintage, and I'll even go back to say some guy who was your first customer for tow hooks, or the first guy that put a winch on it. You may never, a winch mount bumper, you might not have even seen it. And it's just a prideful thing to think that I'm contributing to the world that I love. I love this world. I love these trucks. And even Ford stuff, right? You're like, it's still American metal. It's still vintage American metal that Ben has created something. And to me, you lay your head down at night and you're like, wow, Tommy Buster over there in Mississippi's got one of my, winch mounted bumpers. I may never see it, but he paid his money for what I crafted, created.
No, it's super cool for sure.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot of pride. I mean, I see stuff that I worked on when I worked at Warren Winch back years ago. And I see stuff like, oh, hey, I made the fixture that welds that thing. And there's a level of pride. Or, I always see guys, sorry, this is a little bit of a side. I always see guys with the 99 to 07 Super Duties, and they have their brush guards mounted upside down, which drives me absolutely bonkers. But, and I always tell my wife, and she goes, Ben, nobody cares. And I always want to go up to the guy, in the parking lot, like, hey, your brush guards are on left to right, upside down. But anyway, no, but it is really cool to see your stuff in the wild. Like I said, I saw a set of shackle brackets last year on a blue Blazer at C10 intervention. Just he's driving down on Friday night on the cruise, and it's like, hey, there's a set of my shackle brackets. So it's cool. Oh, and then there was a set. So I put them on 2-wheel drive trucks too, because they only stick out a couple inches from the bumper. And there was a guy up here in the Pacific Northwest that he's put them on his truck. So it's cool to see that. For sure. And then, but yeah, as far as keeping up, the thing right now, time is definitely between, the day job and engineered vintage. And then, my daughter's going off to college here in a couple weeks. My son will be a senior in high school. So the family time and just, it is a grind. I mean, they say, the hustle when you talk about, doing your own thing and doing a business, but it is for sure. I mean, it is either you're shipping, you're figuring out finances, you're, doing the latest thing with marketing, it is a lot. And it is almost for the most part, it's all me, which is, I always joke the first person I'm going to hire is a shipping person, because, packaging and whatnot, that is the keeping up is hard. And then of course you post a picture of a 72 grill, and then you get the same thing. You get, well, hey, I need one for a 91 square body Suburban, and it's like, oh yeah, I love the 89 to 91 GMC Chevy grill. I love that style. It's not for everybody, and I get that, but that's one that I love to do. But you need to do what makes sense too. Like I've done the 73 to 74 grill, and that one has not been as popular, and it's at a price point that's probably a little challenging too, just with the complexity that's going on with it. the 71 to 72 is a little bit of a better price point, but it's a lot less complicated. And the same for the 77 to 79. So right now I'm working on the 77 to 80 GMC, which I'm really excited about.
One.
I'm really excited about that one. I've got some cool ideas for that on how.
I think you might have one behind you, possibly.
Well, I have a stock one. Yeah, there's a stock, a busted one. You see those?
Well, they're all busted. They're all busted.
And you go online and you read stories, and the guy's like, "Oh, I have toothpicks and epoxy, and I took 3 grills and I made one good one, but it's it's held together by on a whisper and a prayer." And so I'm working on the 77 to 80, and then the other big one that I'm excited about is the 85 to 87, which would also cover the 88 Blazers and Suburbans and Crews. So both of those, though, there's some intricacies in there, and I need to get it right. And this isn't something that it takes a lot of hours to get these grills to a point where not only do they look good, but then you can also build them and do it profitably, because it doesn't make sense if you're losing money at the end of the day.
Yeah, but I think also you'll find out that you might not, and I get it, right? You're going to put in 10 pounds of potato of research, energy, so on and so forth. But, eventually people will pay for it if they want it. The other thing that we have going, which is a positive thing, is the aftermarket. You talked about AMD. You have a relationship with them now. The aftermarket is just, kicking ass too. So we get grills that we weren't able to get. I have probably, you wouldn't almost believe it. Yeah, I think I probably have. I have at least 8 grills that I'm looking at right here in my rafters in my studio. Most of them are GMC because you can't get them. I've got some. There's actually, I take that back. There's 3 73 74s right there. I have 3 75 76 GMCs just because Orange Slice.
Those are beautiful.
Yeah, they're just so hard. So I'm not going to say they're all mint, but ironically, and I actually like the 73 74 GMC grill. I'm a fan. I think that's probably one of my favorites. So
that's one that it's that's the 73 74 GMC grill with the 2 big vertical ribs, and then they come down into those sweeping. That is a beautiful grill, and that one is one that I get asked about once or twice, but it's like, I don't know how popular that one would be. And it has some stuff going on that would be complicated.
I think it would be popular because the 73, 74, I don't know. It's just, I almost wonder about people, whether or not they would switch out. So I'm such a 73, 74 guy. I could put that on every square body that I had. I love it. And I do like the later, like you said, the 91s. I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. He had an 82. He's out in Texas, red and tan. Beautiful truck. He put the late model grill on his truck, and man, I'm at the C10s in the trailer park, and I walk up and I'm like, holy shit, that looks so good. And he's like, yeah, people don't. And you look at it and you're like, oh my God, it looks so good. It's one of those things where it's funny. The other thing that's funny about evolution is back in my day, and we're about the same age, is the square body round headlight trucks. Everybody wanted to switch them for the 81 to 89 or 91, if you will, slope nose, to give it that more modern look, right? Yeah. Well, now it's the opposite, right? So everybody's going back to, you could have made a mint if you were able to just to harvest all those old square parts and then leave the grill, leave the fenders, so on and so forth. And it may go full circle again, right? Where people are chasing down that slope nose stuff. They'll be able to get it all aftermarket because you're going to repaint everything. But it is crazy how much that happened where, back in 94, you'd see a sweet K5 or a truck, whatever it might be, something real crazy, like something like that. I'm showing him an old off-road magazine and it's got an old Chevy truck on the front, and guys, they knew they would paint them. You know what I mean? Right. So they didn't care. They were going to upgrade that front clip. So it'll be interesting for you to find that balance, and then what you decide is worth it and what is not worth it. And if you can get your manufacturing down. And so what would you say the demand is right now? What's the demand, and what's the most popular top 3?
So you bought a C10 and it either had AC at one time or it wasn't even an option. Well, Vintage Air has the solution for you. Their SureFit kits are designed to place the evaporator and hoses behind the dash for a factory clean look. In most cases, the SureFit systems will be controlled by your stock dash controls using their exclusive cable converters. The Vintage Air SureFit kits are the best value and the most completely engineered air conditioning system you can install in your C10. Add the fact that Vintage Air has been the most respected name in performance aftermarket climate control systems for 40 years. 40 years? Damn, son. The choice is obvious. VintageAir.com. Marquet has been in business for over 40 years. It all started in the original owner's garage. From humble beginnings of a couple parts in a garage to a 2-building manufacturing facility making over 6,000 parts, Marquet has grown to be one of the country's premier truck parts manufacturers. They not only design the products, but also design the tooling to build the products, guaranteeing quality control. They have made their original parts from the original trucks. They offer quality parts built by Americans for old American-made trucks. So when you're looking for body moldings, bed strips, bed wood, and so much more, think Marquet. That's mar-k.com.
Hey guys, I've got Andrew from Painless Wiring on. Andrew, what's the latest?
Just working on producing these GM truck harnesses. They're our best moving vehicle specific, and we're just, super excited to be able to service such a great community of truck guys.
Made in the USA. You guys are probably cranking them out nonstop. A ton of our audience is out there buying these trucks, building these trucks, and they know, hey, Painless Performance has got me taken care of.
Factory options, aftermarket stuff. If you have any questions, call our tech guys. They'll walk you through anything you need to know, and we'll make sure your truck gets wired up right the first time.
If you want to clean up your underdash, you want to clean up your chassis, it's that easy. Painlessperformance.com, painlessperformance.com. Thanks, Andrew. What would you say the demand is right now? What's the demand and what's the most popular top 3? Because it's not like you have 20.
Well, no, I have 3 right now.
Okay, so you have 71, 72, 73, 74, and then you have
77 to 79 Chevy, or 77 to 80. It is an 80 also. It covers the 80. So yeah, so I
the
have
71,
those,
72 is the most popular then?
for sure, absolutely.
And again, back to the price point, which we're going to hit that. I mean, it's no break down that. People are always going to want to know the money. So for you guys out there in C10ville, sit down, get a cold one. I don't want you to be shocked when you hear it, but the amount of work, and you need to go look at what Ben's doing, right? You have to look at what he's doing and the amount of labor, aluminum, and fabrication, so on and so forth. So what's our breakdown?
Yeah, so price wise, so the 71 to 72, the brushed finish, so that's a nice, it looks like a aluminum. People see that and they're like, okay, that's an aluminum grill. That's $819 shipped in the US.
Okay, it's awesome.
Yeah, no, so that one is a very popular grill. And then we added powder coat here in the last year. So we've had, John Brito that does the Brito guards.
Yep. I want to talk about that because I think that's so cool that you guys get together.
We need to talk about.
I'll hold on that. My squirrel just gets crazy.
I know. Yep. Squirrel. John said, hey, I want to do one that looks stock. And I said, I'm thinking like, well, that's dumb, and so I went down to the powder coater that I use and it's a really good, it's not the guy in the garage doing powder coat. I mean, this is a guy that really does a nice job and, looked at the grays and it's the most boring page of the powder coat catalog. Right. and I'm like, okay. And I checked with John, I said, this is the color we're thinking. And he goes, yep. And we did it and it looked amazing. And so I'm like, wow, John, this one really came out nice. And so I think he's going to put it in he's got a bronze 72 or 71 K20. And I'm probably ruining that. Might be a K10. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But
he's I think it is a K20.
Yeah. It's a 72 K20. It's a bronze truck. It's a nice looking truck. I think he's going to put it in that or his Suburban. And then from there, I had 2 guys at the same time that we did a polished front edge with powder coat, matte black that came out really nice. So the 71 to 72 is really, and we do a lot of polished ones. Those are $14.99.
The polished.
Yeah. So those are,
so your entry level, the gateway drug is about, $850, plan on it. And then you can go up from there.
Yeah. And the polished aluminum, I mean, it's 23 pieces laser cut and then they're hand polished on 3 sides and then you assemble it and there's some forming in there. That is actually the 72 grill is actually kind of shaped like the bow of a boat. It's bent, back towards the truck and then it actually it sticks forward a little bit also. Mm-hmm. And so that one, so it's polished on 3 sides, and then there's like something 120 TIG welds holding it together. So it takes, a good welder can do it in about 30-40 minutes, and for me it takes about 2 hours to get them together. So, but they're works of art for sure.
Yeah, but your labor rate is a lot cheaper because you're just
it is. Yeah, but
so it's a wash.
What I found though, when I'm welding though, I'm not designing 77 to 79 GMCs or 85 to 87 Chevys grills. So
you know what they say, you gotta work on your business, not in your business.
That's right. Exactly. No, that's what that is.
Good
well
luck
said.
with that. Good luck with that balance of, your real job, your side job, your family, your faith, it's fun.
It is when it's, I stopped, welding the 71 to 72s here about 6 months ago. And it's a little bit more, it's more expensive for me, but it's like the amount of time I got back was, it was nice. So then the 77 to 79s, those are $12.49 for brushed or powder coated. They're the same price point. And then the polished is $16.99.
And what was the 73, 74?
The 73, 74 is the one you need to sit down for a little bit. So the brushed is $14.99.
Mm-hmm.
Powder coated is $15.99. We had a lot of requests for polished with powder coat after, I posted the picture of Aaron's gray one.
Yeah.
So that one's $18.99, and then the polished are $21.49. And I'm going to have a polished one and a brushed one of those down at the slowdown so you can ogle over it.
Yeah. So. Yeah. It's funny because once you see the $21.99, was it $21.49? Either
49,
way. Yeah. $21.49. It is kind of hard to go back, right? It's like you start to see that and you want it. So save your money. I'm just reversing all this here, and I can't imagine doing a 67, 68, 69, 70 would be something that I think would be attainable. I just wonder if it ever comes to a point. Those aren't the most popular anyways. And then, we waited for years until LMC could finally make the Chevrolet, right? Because they would just leave them blank.
Right.
And then they were so hard to get because, you wanted the emboss, you wanted the Chevrolet on there. Right. And so I wonder if let's work our way up. What's your thought on that?
So 67 to 68. So I don't make the aluminum. So for the 67 to 72s, they have that really thin stamped aluminum outer surround. I stay away from that.
Oh, sure. Why would you? You'll never make any money on that. That's already made.
No, if I did that, there's huge, that's a stamped part. So you need stamped tooling, and there's aftermarket companies that are much bigger than I am that are doing that. So I would do I wouldn't do anything for 67, 68, but 69, 70, the black kind of honeycomb inserts behind there. That's something. It's funny. There's Greg Blanchett, the Might As Well K5. Mm-hmm. He's down in Texas, and he's been on CK5 forever. He's building the ridiculous 70, I think 69 or 70 K5. It might be a 72 with a 70 front end, but anyway, he's been after me for like 15 years to do the inserts for the 69, 70, and that is one. And I have another guy that I'm good friends with that he wants that. So that would be one, the 69, 70, just the honeycomb inserts. And that is something that's on the list, but not at the top, I would say. And
then, just for the audience to understand how that grill works, your front section is in the front. So your outer grill, your Chevrolet, your band, and then the 69 and the 70, and they are just a scotch different. Really, it just comes down to one being black and one being more of a gray.
Yep.
But boy, oh boy, is it busy. Like it's the busiest one. I mean, I would say an 80 is out of control, but I think a 69, 70 is I mean, I don't even know how many crisscross applesauces there are there.
There's a lot. Yeah, that one, that's complicated. So I haven't looked at it a lot. And then it's got some curves on the side. It kind of goes down and then it raindrops around kind of like female hips, and then it goes horizontal. And so that one, and then it's also flared like a funnel.
How many are in a 71, 72? How many crisscrosses would you say? Like
how many crisscrosses?
Yeah, like intersection. When you
inner
say
joints,
23 pieces.
There's whatever 15 times 8 is. I don't have my calculator.
That's 80 plus the 4, 120. So to me, a 69 to 70 is double minimum, if not triple.
Yeah, yes, but I don't think I would try to weld every single one of those. I think I would look at getting,
and maybe they're not in the middle, right? Because they're not behind that. So maybe not as much, but either way, I'm going to go with 200, intersecting pieces.
That's a lot of welding, and welders aren't cheap. So especially TIG welders that are worth a shit, right? So so that one is one. We've got the 71, 72 covered, going up the Chevy, the 73, 74 is covered. The 75 to 76 is another one that's got, so that one, it's interesting. The hood release is actually kind of off center, whereas the 73, 74 and the 77 to 80, the hood release is in the center of the truck, where the 75 to 76, I think it's to the driver's side.
It is. I think it is.
And so that one, it's a little different. And then it's got all the crossbars, but then it has individual like rectangles that are raised and I don't know how many slots there are in that one. So that's one that I get asked for. So the other thing I try to do is let's do grills that cover multiple years. So like the 77 to 80 Chevy that we have on our website, you're covering 4 years of trucks. The 71 to 72 is 2. The 73 to 70, I'm doing a horrible job so far. The 73 to 74 is 2, but like the 85 to 87, that's going to cover 3 years. Plus you get the 88 Blazers and Blazers and Suburbans and Crews. And the same for like the 89 to 91. So when you talk about, like you just said, the 1980, that one's tough. There's that 1980 grill that's got all those little squares with the round fillets. Yep. And I don't know how, like, that's one that if you're waiting for Engineered Vintage to come out with that grill, you're going to have a very long beard.
I don't think at this point they're waiting, because I don't think that's a very popular grill set.
That one,
I think what people do on an 80 is they switch it out. They can't wait to switch it out. How do you not switch it out when you look at like the later, you look at the 85s, you look at, those, they were like, I don't know what they were doing that day when they came out with that 80, and so
with the square headlights.
Yeah,
you're going to get that one guy that calls you up and like, that's the best truck ever.
And I guess what I mean, I guess I was thinking more 81. So the audience is going to lose their mind. So 80, if, a lot of people will go back to the round, because that's 80 is going to be still a true square. And then 81 to 87 guys 81 to 91 guys are moving their way up. So it's almost like reverse. If you're in 80, you're trying to go lower, and if you're 81, you're trying to go higher. At least that's my perception of it. I'm sure the audience will.
Well, the 1980 year was weird because you had round headlights and you had the square headlight.
Well, and I think that's because the early, right, you're going to have your round. So you're going to be 79 left over. And then as they kind of went through, they kind of moved through. I guess I'm thinking too, 81 can be crazy. So
81's got a lot. 81 and 82, I think, are the same. And that one's got a lot of stuff going on with it. That one looks to me, it looks like, I know you have an 07 Classic.
Yeah.
That one to me looks like the your AC vents on the side of your glove box on your passenger side. It looks like somebody like taped a bunch of those together, like 20 in a row on top and the bottom, and then you got the Chevy chrome band in the center, and it's a good looking grill. But that's another one that, like, I don't know, that one's not at the top of the list, I would say.
Hey, if you're out there and you're an 81 to 82er and you love your look of yours, let me know, Ronnie at Truck Talk Media. I want to hear it, and I'll share it with the audience if it's appropriate, and I'll definitely share with Ben. I'm interested to hear what the world thinks about that style. I guess we should maybe post up.
Yeah, no, that for sure.
Yeah, and it's funny because people have stole that image so many times. I'm pretty sure the image belongs to the artwork. I actually know it is. It's Tom. Oh, why am I drawing a blank on his last name? But he designed the Beltec tribute truck. THOM. Why am I drawing a blank on his last name? Artist. Anyway, he's the one who did it's truly been stolen multiple times, where the artwork, it goes up on the forums, but it breaks down your whole square body.
Oh, yeah. No, I see.
God, why am I drawing a blank on Tom's name? I have it on my phone. I got to look that up because he's an amazing artist.
Yep.
And I should, Tom Taylor, Taylor. God, that drove me nuts. So Tom Taylor is the one who put that together, and it was in like classic trucks back in the day.
Yep.
And now I've seen where people have, even made shirts of it, so on and so forth.
No, I remember looking at that, drooling over that. I think it was in sport trucks. And
and they did that even for the 67 to 72s, breaking them down so people can kind of understand. And even 71, 72, people need to realize there is a difference there. It's a very, very small difference, but not for the insert, not for the grill insert, just for the outer band is
outer
painted.
Grill.
Yeah, the outer grill. So speaking of grill, one thing that I want to I've got written down here. You're an grill guy. What can you break down the difference? Why do you use an E? Is the barbecue grill no E, and then the truck grill is an E?
That's exactly it.
When you're looking for classic Chevy or GMC truck parts, BrothersTrucks.com is your #1 source for 1947 to 87 Chevy and GMC truck restoration parts. So whether you are restoring an original or looking to customize that classic truck, BrothersTrucks.com has thousands of the highest quality truck parts for you to choose from. So head over to BrothersTrucks.com and order your free catalog today. And don't forget to follow Brothers on Facebook and Instagram for daily updates and special offers too.
Hey guys, are you thinking about swapping out your old motor for a more reliable LSLT-based power plant? We've got great news for you. PSI Conversion is offering our listeners 10% off your order. Behind each PSI harness, you get over 10 years of experience in the business, online tech support, phone support, and harnesses made in the U.S. That's psiconversion.com. And don't forget, use code C10TALK and save 10% today.
You've heard me talk about my gauges, Dakota Digital. I love them. Don't forget the interior of your build. Dakota Digital has the best gauges for our trucks. Whether you want a direct fit into the stock bezel or something custom. These kits are complete with sensors for any engine. The new RTX series is really incredible. I think it stands for retro, but it should stand for rad. They look just like the stock clusters, but have all the technology you'd expect from Dakota Digital. You can change the lighting colors, customize the reading in the message centers, and do it all from the mobile app. That's right, the HDX and RTX series have Bluetooth technology, so you can mess with them from your phone. I'm looking at RPM, trip odometer, percent fuel, oil pressure, and now I have the GPS set up. I can tell you direction, elevation, and even outside temp. Damn, son, it's like a modern truck, but even better in a classic. Dakota Digital is absolutely the best in aftermarket gauges, so check them out at dakotadigital.com. dakotadigital.com. And you can follow them on Instagram and Facebook too.
What can you break down the difference? Why
so
do you use is the barbecue grill no E and then the truck grill is an E?
That's exactly it. Yeah. So I'm sorry. I'm one of those spelling Nazis. I'm just how I'm wired. And so, a grill without the E is your barbecue grill, or it's like your vent for your AC, right?
What about my teeth? How do I do that one? How do I?
I'm not sure on that one, Roddy. I don't know.
All right. I don't know. I think it would probably be an E because it's matching the truck grill.
There you go.
Assume. Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. So no, grill with an E, and then
Yeah, because you always do it. I'm going to say that I don't, but I'm going to change that. Here's another thing for our audience that's useless information. Do you know the difference? Somebody's explained this to me. And if you're a spelling Nazi, the difference between gray, Gray, and R-E-Y.
I don't know that one. No.
What I was told, the way to remember it is A, America, E, Europe.
Okay. I was going to guess that, but I don't know.
I don't know that that's right, but that's what somebody told me. I would have told you I prefer Grey. I don't know why, but now I've tried to make that correction. Hey, I truly struggle with then and than. So I'm not gonna criticize anybody in this world on spelling or punctuation or any type of English.
We were just on a road trip. We went up to Canada last week, my family of 4, and my family realizes that I say both with an L. Both.
Yeah. So both you spell it B-O-L-T-H.
Yeah, no, that's not how I spell it.
B-U-L-L-T-H. Both.
It's so my daughter has been giving me a rash of shit here it's been probably longer than a week, but it's B-O-L-T-H is how I pronounced it, I think. Mm-hmm. But that's not anyway. That's useless information.
Yeah, there we go. We completely. This is what happens for you guys out there listening when two bald dudes get together and start talking English, especially for somebody who's been up there up there looking at decals and processes.
Right.
And, Stickle just tells me I put the wrong. Hey, you've got the wrong emphasis on the correct syllable or
on
whatever
the wrong
the hell
syllable. Yeah.
Let's talk about so we've got your winches. We didn't talk about too much, but for the audience, if you have a 4x4 and you want that, do you do a lot of those bumpers still now, or do you find more of the winch mount being popular?
The behind, so we make the behind bumper winch mount. We have that for 67 to 87 GM. It goes up to 91 square body, and it's compatible with your Cuck V. The first one we did was for the 67 to 72. And we launched those at the Enumclaw, the Northwest C10 show in Enumclaw, Washington, back in it was spring of 21. And I got to give props to Jake Brown of Gold City Trucks, because he was my first customer. Although Eric Sims was also right there. He's a guy out of Tacoma area with a teal 70 K20. And so Jake bought one and he put it on his big red Chevy 72 K20 that, and he loves those things. And he's been a great supporter of Engineered Vintage, and now he's building a truck for me also. So those were the first ones. And then we did the 81 to 87 and the 73 to 80. And then last fall, we launched the GOAT winch bumper. And so that is very similar to some of the old winch bumpers back from the 70s and 80s that Ramsey and Warren, and I think Super Winch had one. And so we make those. Those have been really popular. We have those for 67 to 87 GM, for 67 to 79 Ford, and for 72 to 93 Dodge. And so those have been really popular. The Fords are the most popular though. The 73 to 79 Ford guys, they love those bumpers. I mean, that's a look with, some of like the original Bigfoot. It was rocking one of those bumpers. And then back in March of this year, we launched those in polished stainless. Everybody was asking, hey, can you make that in chrome? And now that, with all the stuff environmental, you can't get really good chrome. It's hard to get good chrome plate, especially in Oregon. And I don't want to offer something that's going to have quality problems, when all the chrome falls off in 6 months. So we offer a polished stainless version that is really nice.
Cool. So what would you say right now? Are you, I'm sure it kind of ebb and flows, where at one point you were selling more of those. Is your focal point right now just really been moving grills with an E?
I think the grills with an E, those are really popular. Those are a little bit of a big ticket item. So, we sell a lot more of the winch mounts that are more in the, the $400 to $600 price range. And then the shackle bracket hooks that are, the $130 to $150 price point. Those are kind of the meat and potatoes every day. And then the winch bumpers are and the grills show really well, but that is a commitment for somebody, to get one of those. And it's a decision to put it on your truck too.
Well, I think you've got a different level of client as well, right? So you've got
for sure.
Your baseline, foundation was very off-road, Pacific Northwest, going to get muddy, use your winch. And now those guys are probably not going to be necessarily repeat customers. I don't want to say they're not, but that guy who's got the winch and got the tow hooks and, everything else, if he's using his truck, he's probably not going to be like, oh, I got to get that polished,
right. I do have a few, it's funny. I've had guys that they buy a polished 71 to 72 grill and they buy a winch mount and they're putting it on their K5 or their K20. And they have the value of trucks now, and it's like, you want to buy jewelry for your truck, and
sure,
there's Engineered Vintage grills, or, they're jewelry, and art, like you said. It's, there's guys that do it though. They have the whole product, the whole catalog almost on their trucks.
Yeah, that's good. You could almost offer a package deal and get with Brito and be like, all right, you're going to get the brush guard, you're going to get the winch, you're going to get the whole thing. So you guys have when you talk about Jake and you talk about the guys up there, you guys are really, I love how everybody's kind of working together and you guys are creating something really as a necessity up there. that it's not just one guy, right? It's like you literally there's like a little group of people that are bouncing things off of each other, manufacturing really cool and quality stuff.
No, for sure. I mean, yeah, it's neat to see the group up here. It's the Arizona scene. I've gotten a taste of that just, seeing the reunion. And then I went to Dino's for the first time last year. That was insane.
Mind blowing.
Yes. Mind blowing. But there was Jake Brown. He had a get together in Oroville, Washington, and Jake was on your pod. Oroville, Washington it's 8 hours for me. I'm basically on the east side of Portland, Oregon. And it's an 8-hour drive for me to get up to Jake's. And he had a big party here July 1st at his house, and he's on Lake Asuyus, which is in the I'm going to say it wrong, Okanagan Valley that comes down from BC, from like Kamloops and Kelowna, BC. And then there's a valley there, and it's got lakes all the way down. Beautiful, beautiful country. And Jake had a party there, and there was like something, I want to say like 70 trucks, and you had Buddy and Neely Miller came over from Seattle area, and you had Driveway Finds that, John Brito and his crew, they drove up from wherever they are north of San Francisco. And then there was a guy that flew in from, and I can't remember his name now. He flew in from Iowa, and he bought a truck from Jake and drove it home. And then Brandon Van Kirk, him and his wife flew in for the second year from New York and rented a car and drove over and stayed with Jake. And but really cool group of truck guys, and you get some of the southern Canadian guys coming across the border there. It was a really nice, fun party atmosphere. And then the cool thing for me is Jake's building a truck for me. He has a custom truck shop, and he is only 67 to 72. That's the only language.
I posted his little thing that how he hates square bodies, and it was kind of a joke. What I get on this whole thing is when you look at Jake, he was on, like, I don't know, let's just say 10 episodes ago, loves 67 to 72s. But for you and for the audience to understand, this is literally 67 to 72s when I see what I see online, and it's it's not two-wheel drive, and there are, but it's more going to be there was
a lot of two-wheel drives, but yeah, there was a lot of four-wheel drives there.
Oh yeah. 4x4 long beds to me is like, okay. And then you come out to Phoenix and you've got two-wheel drive shorties.
Right.
Like,
right.
I mean, and the four-wheel drive, I think we're seeing a little bit of an evolution going back, just because people, they want change and they want to kind of do some different things. But yeah, so definitely your clientele, if you will, from the perspective of engineered vintage.
No, it was cool. There was this was pretty unique. He had two black long bed K20s there. Black, and like how many black 72 K20s are floating around and there was two of them, and they were parked next to each other at the show. So that was pretty badass to see that. And Jake, I'm proud of him. He's a young guy, and he did a good job putting on the show, and it went to the next level, I think, this year. And I do think, even though it's in the middle of nowhere, you talk about hard to get to, that's a destination show for if you're into 67 to 72 trucks. If you have a square body, don't come. He doesn't want you.
Well, not only that, but again, remember, it's not just the trucks, right? It's the people. And that's what's so funny is you go for the metal, and then you leave and you're like, oh yeah, that was a cool truck, but God, that guy was a hoot. And oh my God, this guy. And so again, remember, that's really what it's all about. It doesn't matter, on this pod, we get so lately, it's like, oh, he said you couldn't go to the show because he didn't have a $280,000 truck. No, nobody's ever going to say that. I don't care if you got an $8,000 truck or you have an $800,000 truck. You're welcome. Come by, have a beer, and have a good time, and leave for the people knowing that you came for the metal. You know what I
mean? I met some cool guys up there. I mean, Brian Elliott, he's got a beautiful 71 or 72 Suburban he just bought that it is insane. It's white, it's got a blue interior, and it is original. And it is, I got to ride in that.
Wow.
And we piled 9 people in the back of that, went out to the main road where Jake's doing his burnout contest. And then you got guys on Rocky Talkies at each end going, it's like what's the movie where they're like, car.
Yeah, car. You're clear. Clear or car.
And then, you have a bunch of guys doing smoky burnouts, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing about that show. When I see it, it's again, his goal is I want everybody to have a good time, and that's really what it's all about. So those are the kind of shows you want to get to there in the early stages of the shows, that first few years, because then they get bigger and bigger. And then you're like, oh, remember when we used to be able to do burnouts and so on and so forth.
Yeah. No, I could,
we can't do it.
I could see the law coming in and shutting that down pretty fast.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, fun in a small town might be hard to come by, but it sounds like you guys had a great time. Where's the best place for them to, follow you, go online,
sure,
Facebook, the website, everything.
Yeah. So all our stuff's at engineeredvintage.com.
Okay.
So you have a full product catalog on there, and then we're on Instagram, we're engineered_vintage. And then Facebook, we're Engineered Vintage. And then we do have a TikTok account too, but
good luck with that. Yeah, it's funny. It's like, oh, the TikTok and the threads and all these new things and the Twitters, and you're like, I can barely handle with what I got. So it's like, do I really need more shit?
That's like my daughter. She's like, Dad, I'm going to help you, and we're going to do TikTok, and we pushed a little bit, but I don't know that I've done anything there in about 6 to 9 months or even a year.
Yeah, so, that's okay. That's okay. So you can go online, you guys, if you have any interest, hey, I'm going to say this, if you, at minimum, maybe you can't really afford something right now, but get on the social media, get on the website, and just kind of, it's okay to dream, and it's okay to have a goal, and it's okay to, just look at this stuff and think, God, this is beautiful, because we like what, to me, something new for our trucks, something like this, and the jewelry part of it is I don't know that it's orgasmic, but it's definitely something when I'm this passionate about these things, and when I see these, it doesn't take that much for me. I'm easy, man. But especially when it comes to our trucks. So I think that you give Ben a look and take a look at Engineered Vintage, see what they've got, see if there's something that tickles your fancy, and maybe you could save up for it. Maybe you're a 4-wheel drive guy. Maybe you want to mount a winch, or you've never even thought about it, inside, outside, upside down, whatever you got to do. A lot of different options.
No, for sure. No, thank you, Ronnie. No, and we'll be at the Slowdown here August 5th. We'll be up at C10's on the Capitol in Olympia, Washington, August 12th. We have a Ford show. The biggest Ford truck show in the world for 80 to 97 full-size Fords is in Brooks, Oregon.
Wow, that's cool.
And that's coming up August 18th and 19th. So
is that did you say that's still OBS then, or is that
it's 80 to 97?
They didn't go to 99 when they went to the Super Duty.
Yeah, 99 is Super Duty. Yeah, so it's brick nose and bull nose and OBS.
Yeah,
80 to 97. So, but that one, it's a destination show for full size Ford trucks. They had.
Now, are you doing the brick and the bull, or no? Not yet.
Not yet. That's on the list.
But you're doing the dents.
Doing the dents right now, the dents and the bumps. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So so for the C10 world, you've got Ford's funny because they have a nickname for everything, right? We have the square body. That's really, and then we have the 67 to 72, or what you could say a second gen C10. But yeah, so Ford's got the bump, which is just, I love the bumps. So that's your 67 to 72, your dents. 73 to 79, and that's your second gen Bronco. And then
bull nose is 80 to 86,
and then your brick, and then your OBS.
Brick is 87, 91, and 92, 97 is OBS.
All right, so you Ford guys I'll have to cut a little bit of this out and put it in the F100 talk thing or something. But
I know it's terrible talking Fords on a C10 podcast.
Oh, it's all right. I the audience may hate it, but there's some. I'm a big fan of the bump. My grandpa had a bump. My uncle still has it. There's like 13,000 miles on it. And the dents, the second gen dents, are really coming on big time. And Fords, they did make a lot of really cool high boy stuff. They made some really cool trucks that if my audience is completely like, oh, I don't look at one of those when they go by, then I think they're lying. Just because old metal is old metal.
It's and with this, we're all at the same age now, and like. I don't know. Yeah. Old metal is old metal. Like you see an old Ford or an old Jeep or an old Dodge or an old International. You don't think that's cool. Seriously. I mean, I get the guys that are like, oh, I bleed Chevrolet, Yeah.
I bleed Chevrolet too. I do too. I'm a bow tie bleeder for all day long.
But I tell you what, there's some Fords that I've seen that, and I've been working on 92 to 97 stuff most recently, Fords, and there's some cool stuff. I mean, they have some neat design and engineering that they put into those trucks. Those are neat trucks.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well, that's why the reunion, everything with a tailgate's allowed, because I love seeing something different. It makes me,
right.
I always use the analogy of, hey, babe, I think you're hot. I got a recipe, blonde 5'2", meat butt. It's not that hard. But every now and then I like a little redhead, and I can look at it, and it doesn't mean that I'm going to run off with her or I'm married to her, right? I like to look at a few different things. So it's okay to look at a few different things. It spices things up. It's nice. It's like, all right, I really like my truck. I'm glad that I got what I got. So
for sure.
For you guys out there, it's okay to look at, redheads every now and then. Doesn't mean you have to do something stupid, because if you do, you might lose your truck. It's that easy. Keep your dick in your pants.
Wow,
public service announcement by Engineered Vintage.
Sponsored
by Engineered Vintage. Sponsored by Truck Talk Media. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna let you go. For you guys out there, Chickadee, check them out. I guarantee you'll like it. If you're at a show in the Pacific Northwest in the next few months, if you can check them out. Are you gonna go to the intervention as well, or no?
No, I'm not making the intervention. It's just like you said. It's college stuff for my daughter, so I won't be there. I'll be at the slowdown, but not making it to the intervention. We'll be at Dino's though.
And the C10's on the Capitol, so a lot coming up. And then the big show himself, November 11th. And that'll be a big one. All right. Thanks, Ben. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Ronnie.
For you guys out there, Chickadee, check them out. Late.
Cool shit, right? Hopefully we didn't ramble on too much. I really didn't edit that one that much. And I know when I'm interviewing Ben and I'm sitting there and we're talking 81, 87, 73, 74, 75, 76, GMC's different, the front thing, the back thing, the flip it up, the smack it down. I'm just thinking the audience might be losing their mind right now. So hopefully you can, or you got to this far and you were able to power through a lot of that. But Ben and I have a tendency to maybe ramble on a little bit too much and like these trucks and this hobby way too much to get into just details that are probably a little unorthodox. So I'm glad you listened. I'm glad you made it this far. I hope you guys have a great weekend. And again, if you're traveling, whether it's to the slowdown or whatever show you're doing, maybe even just wrenching in the garage, we appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for the continued support. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Late.